Welcome to this FastAPI mini course. In this mini course, you're going to learn everything you need to know to get started with FastAPI today. You're going to learn all about models as well as creating endpoints for our API, from getting and posting information to updating and deleting information. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back, guys, for another episode of Code with Josh. For obvious reasons, I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you guys here for this FastAPI mini course. Before we jump right into it, okay, help me out, hit that like button and subscribe. That really does help out my channel, so if you enjoy my content, if you enjoy this type of video, hit the like button, okay, and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts, questions you might have, and anything you want to see in the future. Now, today's video is to get you started with FastAPI. This has been heavily requested on my channel, so if you've requested it, this is for you. But for anyone just getting started, okay, I'm going to guide you guys through the initial setup of FastAPI, as well as building out endpoints and using the Swagger UI docs to actually test out our API. You're going to learn how to build models using Pydantic and run data through that. That's what's happening here in this mini course, okay? Before I jump right into it, okay, the first link in the description, that is my Python masterclass. You can head on down there, check it out. This is built with 8 years of teaching experience to help anyone looking to get started with Python. All the other links in the description. That's our community Discord. Come join in on the fun. We have my Python newsletter where I create content tailored to helping you grow, as well as all my ebooks. All right, so those are down in the description. Head on down, check them out. Wherever you are in your Python journey, I have stuff down there dedicated to helping you grow in Python in your careers. Now, enough said, let's jump into why you're all here, and let's give you your introduction to FastAPI. Welcome to this FastAPI mini course. In this mini course, you guys are going to get a solid introduction to FastAPI and how you can get started using it today. This is really exciting. I'm excited for this. This has been heavily requested, so we're going to jump right into it. Right, so FastAPI is another way for us to build out APIs, right? There are tools like Flask or Django could handle this, but a very popular one that is easier when we only want to focus on the API side of things is FastAPI. Now, to get started, okay, I am in a folder, I've named it API course, and I have a single Python file, my API. We're going to open up your terminal. I want you to cd into the folder. You could create a virtual environment for this. I am not doing that right now, okay? But we need to install a few things here. One is going to be FastAPI. The other is going to be Pydantic. Okay, and then lastly is uvicorn. And I'm going to run all of those. Now, you guys may have to install these. As you can see, it says requirement already satisfied because I already have these on my system. Okay, I'm going to clear this out. Now, I'm going to start off here. I'm going to break down what each of those imports does, but let's just get things up and going, and I will show you why we have these as we need them. The first thing we can do is I want to talk about a few things. We have a term called CRUD, and really this is just we can create items, we can read items, update items, and delete items. So a CRUD application could handle all of this. Now, because we're working with APIs, we have what we call our HTTP requests. These requests are things like we can get information, we can post information, we can put information, and we can delete information, right? Now, each of these kind of corresponds to a CRUD operation, right? When I read information, we simply get information back from an API to be able to read it. When we create information, right, we are posting information. It's like you post something in the mail, you send information off. When we update information, we are putting new information into our JSON, our dictionary, our database. And then delete is simply just delete. All right, so you can call this CRUD operations, but really these are our HTTP requests that we can use here when working with APIs. We can use all of these actually here in this mini course today. Right, so I'll delete the CRUD operations part. We can keep these requests now just for you guys to be able to see. And to really start at the top of our code, I'm going to import from FastAPI, I'm going to import the class FastAPI, right? And if you've ever worked with Flask, this is going to look actually similar. But we run this differently because FastAPI is actually lighter than Flask would be. So I'm going to create an object here. This is really an instance of our Flask API class that we import. Okay, so I create an object, we have an instance now, and really this builds out our entire API. Okay, I can give this arguments, we'll do it later, but we don't need to right now. The first thing we want to do is we're going to create an endpoint. Now, this is going to be a term that we're going to talk about a lot in our APIs. And simply put, an endpoint is like a URL. All right, so for example here, if we go to a website like www.zerotonowing.com, this is my website, feel free to check it out, okay? The home page, the landing page, just ends with a slash. If you go anywhere, this is the landing page, the index, the root of this page. And this is really an endpoint, okay? We might have another layer of this endpoint, right? But you might have an extension of login. You might have one of account, right? And all of these are different endpoints. They're an extension of the existing URL, right? So our job here is to build out these endpoints that allow us to do different tasks with our FastAPI. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my decorator app. I can call it app because I created my instance called app. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to create the landing page, the home page. So I can get everything starts from our slash, right? It's just like I had here before. We had a website and then it ends in a slash. This is really what we're building out here, okay? Now, typically I'm going to build out a function and this is generally going to be called root. This is the root of everything. And really just for now, I'm going to return a dictionary. It's just going to have a message here. And let's just say like, welcome to your introduction to FastAPI. All right. Now, our data is passed through the API. Typically, it would be done through JSON. JavaScript object notation, right? But JSON is very similar to a Python dictionary, so I'm returning a dictionary here. All right, so I have a very simple root. That's all that's happening. Now we can start to test this. As I go through and I build out these different endpoints, we want to be able to test this. I'm going to open up my terminal. Now, very standardly, right, with other frameworks like Flask or Django, you could just run the Python file. You could run it here, but FastAPI is even lighter than Flask or Django. So we installed something called uvicorn to actually run this. In order to run it, I'm going to say uvicorn. We're going to type the name of the Python file, my API. Make sure that you're in the correct directory. So I'm going to say my API. Instead of saying .py, I'm going to say :app because app is what we named this FastAPI. Then we're just going to say reload. Reload ensures that every time you make a change, it automatically reloads for you. It's like in Flask, you might say debug equals true. This is just reload. We're going to run this, and it's saying uvicorn is not found. Okay, that's kind of strange. I should have it here. So I'm going to say pip install uvicorn. Run that again to make sure I have it.
Okay, something's going on here. Could not install. Okay, that's fine. Let's try a different mechanism here. Uvicorn. There we go. So it should already be satisfied. Uvicorn, we're going to say my API app reload, run it. There we go. Okay, so that was weird. Okay, I had it. I just double checked the installation. Okay, make sure you have this. And you're going to see here that uvicorn is running on this port. We are going to access this port. And boom, you can see this is my API message. Let me make this window a little smaller, put it in the center for us. And I mean, if I want to make it easier to read, I can do that. But this is essentially like the landing page. This is the root. When anyone comes to the landing page, the root, this is what they're going to see. I'm just returning this message. Right now, it's just a dictionary, right? It could be a JSON format. And this is what we see. Now, the great thing about FastAPI is actually the dashboard that we get access to when building out these types of APIs. And this is one of the reasons it's becoming so popular. If I have my URL here, I'm going to say docs on the end of it. And this is built off in a Swagger UI. And you can see here the default, this is just my root. We made this default root. And this really has nothing inside of it, okay? But as we build out the other roots, they're going to appear here. And this is how we can actually test out these and make sure they're working correctly for our API. Okay, so docs makes it super easy to test, visualize, and make sure things are working. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to leave that running. I'm just going to pretty much slide my terminal down. It's unneeded for now. We have the initial root. Now going up here, I'm going to start to import a few more things that I'm going to need throughout this, okay? For some best practices here, I'm going to import HTTP exception. We're going to import status. And then I'm going to import something called path. Path is going to make sure that we give it mandatory arguments that we specify it actually needs. All right. Let's do a few other things here. Let's do some pipe hintings. Let's say from piping, we are going to import optional. We'll get that at a later stage. Okay. And then from Pydantic, I'm going to import something called base model, right? These will come into play very, very soon. Now, the first kind of API, let's call it endpoint, that I'm going to build out here is really we want to get users. I'm going to build this around users. Okay, so root is sort of needed, right? This is like the landing page. Then everything is built off from root. So for example, if we come down here, I might have one called get users, right? And that's what I'm building out here. So down here, all I'm going to do for this, okay,
If you guys are getting value in today's video, help me out. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe. That really helps out the channel.
is let's create a new kind of request here. I'm going to say app, we're going to say get. This time I'm building on the original endpoint, just like I have here, right? So I might call this, let's do it like users slash, I'm going to say here user ID. All right, so it would look something like this, users ID of 1. And every user is going to have their own ID here. Right? We don't have user ID yet. We will get it. All right. But let's build out now and let's just call this get user. This is going to take some type of user ID. This will be an integer. Okay. Now we've given it this, but this integer, right? I'm also going to make sure it has these kind of arguments that I want to ensure it has. These are required. Right? Now I could put anything here, not anything, but certain things here. So initially there's nothing required, but I'm going to give it like a unique description. And this description is just kind of telling you in the back end, what do you want to do? So like the ID, you want to get. Simple as that. And I could even put things here. So I don't actually have anything yet. Before I continue this, let's make a dictionary of users. Now, in the real world, this would not be just a dictionary. Okay, you would probably store this in a database. You could use Postgres, MongoDB. For simplicity, I'm just using a dictionary here. Now, let's say we have the first user. And let's do a few things. Let's give it a name. I will say Josh. Let's do something like website. Let's give my website here. Let's do something like age, and age will be an integer. And then let's do role, I guess. And let's just say here developer. Okay, so this is my users, right? And I've just built it out, just a standard Python dictionary. So then this begins at 1. All the other users kind of increment from there. As an integer path here, right, I could say, hey, this needs to be greater than 0. If it's 0, I don't have that here in my dictionary, right? It's going to throw me an error. So it needs to be greater than 0. I could just leave that because we might have multiple entries. You could say greater than 0 and less than 100 if you wanted to say that. Okay, you don't need less than there. As I'm building this out, okay, I have a description. It has to be greater than 0 and less than 100, and it's going to take an integer, right? That's what's happening here. We want to first check if the user is already in my dictionary, in our database, right? So if user ID is not in users, which is what we have given it, I'm going to raise just an exception. So I've imported HTTP exception specifically for this. And I think we can give it here a status code. We want to raise an error. So I'm going to say 404 is fine. And we can give it some details. So detail like user not found. Okay. The first check we always do is to see if there is going to be an error. If it is, let's just raise that error. Otherwise, we just want to return, take our dictionary, users, and give back the user ID. That's kind of it, okay? We check, if they're not there, we're going to raise an error. Otherwise, we're just going to give back the user I'm looking for. So if I say users 1, right, really it's going to return all this information here for us. Pretty cool. If we go back, I can refresh this. You can now see that it's actually created here. I built out this other endpoint. We can open it, right? And it's empty. What I can do now is I can try it out. I'm going to put a 1 here. When I run that, you can see, boom, it's successful. It is working correctly. All right, this is the information that I had stored in my dictionary, in the database, wherever it is stored, right? If we go back up here and I try and say 2, we execute it. You can see that user not found. I raised the error that I set as that HTTP exception. Okay, so I know that this endpoint is now working, right? Very cool. Okay, what else do we have now? So we have the ability to get a user. Let me go down and let's kind of write out what else we're going to do here. We can create a user. We are going to update a user, delete a user, and then we are going to search for a user. Okay, these are all the endpoints we're going to build out. So I'm going to continue to use this reference here. All right, let's just focus on now creating an actual user. Before I jump into creating it, where or how are we storing this? We need to create some models to actually handle this. So I'm going to go up here and we are going to create our base Pydantic models, right? And these are class-based, okay? So I'm going to create a class called user. This is going to inherit base model that I imported from Pydantic. And this looks just like a Python data class, actually. It's going to take a name, right? It's going to take a website. It's going to take an age. And it's going to take a role. Okay, now this looks just like a data class, but because I'm inheriting a base model, this is going to ensure that each of these has a value. This is required. So if you enter the wrong data type, for example, for name, if I enter an integer, this is automatically going to return an error to you. Okay, and this is how we're going to be storing and passing in all of our data to roughly the dictionary in this case. Since we're here, I don't want to have to come back up. Let's just create a model for update user. Again, this will be our base model that we're inheriting. And what can we update? Well, we have name, right? But maybe we don't want to update all of them. We only want to update one item that refers to this user. This is why I imported optional. I'm basically saying this name is optional. If I give it, it's going to be a string. If I don't give it, the value is just going to be none, right? It's going to be set to none. And so for each of these, I'm going to go through and I'm going to say website is also optional. It's going to be a string if I give it anything. Otherwise, don't worry about it. None. Age, again, optional. This time we're at an integer. If I don't give it, none. And our last one is just going to be a role. We're going to say optional. This is also a string, and this is none. Okay. If you guys need to pause it. But really, this is the model which is going to allow us to create a user, to delete a user, anything like that. And this ensures that we give it the correct data type. It's basically a data class. Our update user model is going to be used to if we want to make changes to any of these users. I said optional because I'm saying I don't need to change the name. That might not be the problem, right? So name is optional. If I don't change the name, we're just going to keep it as none. Okay, don't change that. And this just allows for a more dynamic process, a bit more Pythonic, if you want to call it that. Right. So with our models done, we now have the ability to jump in and create a user. Instead of get this time, we are actually going to make a post request because we are sending information off, right? So I'm going to say post. We need to give it the endpoint that we want. So once again, let's say something like users, right? This time, I'm going to say user ID. Great. Now, along with just giving it user ID, we could say here, let's say 2, for example. This is a new user that we're adding, all right? I could give it things like a status code. So when this is complete, okay, I'm going to say here, like, I think we imported status. I'm going to say here, HTTP, I think 201, it was created. Yes. I wish that would load faster to give me the hint from typing. So when we create something, it's known as a 201 status. It means we created it. And we are just going to create a function here called create user. This will take our user ID, which is an integer, and then it's going to take a single user, which is really an object of the base model class that I just made for Pydantic above, right? I created a class called user. And what we're going to say is if user ID is already in users, well, that's a problem. If that user ID is already there, we are going to raise our error. We're going to raise an exception here. So I'm going to raise an exception. We're going to say status code is equal to 400, and we are going to say detail. Whoops. We're going to say detail, and we should say something here like user already exists. Right? So once again, we're just running a quick check. Otherwise, we want to convert the Pydantic model, that base model, into a dictionary to store that data in our dictionary. Remember, in the real world, it would probably be a database, okay? All we're going to do here is we're going to take our users, we're going to give it the user ID, which is a new user, and we can take our user object and we're going to say dict to convert that to a dictionary, and we can return the user. Okay, wonderful. Let's, I saved the code. Let's go back here. Let's refresh our code. Okay, there we go. We have a new post right here. So I'm going to open this. Okay, and we are going to try it out. So I'm going to say to name, let's say Tommy. Website, this is my other website actually, the nerdnook.io. This is my Python newsletter. Python newsletter is about 2 years old, 3 years old, and rule, I'm going to say Python newsletter. It's not called Tommy, so I'm just going to call it nerd. Let's execute. Go down. Boom, look at that. Response body, it is working. How do I know it actually submitted that information? Well, I can see it worked here. But because we said to, I'm going to be able to now go up here and let's get a user back. Let's try to get number 2 back, execute, and there we go. Name nerd, the website is the nerdnook.io. It is a Python newsletter. It's 2 years old. I can see that this response is working. How cool is that? With that working, we're going to head back here now. We now are going to carry on to another endpoint. Okay, so let's take my URL. Okay, this is just for reference here. And the goal of this is to update a user. All right, so this time we're going to take app. What HTTP request are we using? Right, I'm not using get. I'm not going to use post. We're going to use put. Put is you're putting new information. So I'm going to say here put. We're going to say users / again user ID. Which user ID do I want to update in this case? We are going to call our function update user. All right. And inside here, we are just going to say user ID is an integer. And this time the user, let's use the model we made called update user instead of user. We're making changes to this user. The first thing we're going to check is if user ID, just like we have, is not in users, we need to raise that HTTP exception. And really, I'm just going to, I don't know, let's just copy this. Let's post that user already exists, or in this case, user is not here. Okay. And to be fair, now that I'm typing this should not be a string. Boom. Right. That was an issue. Detail. Okay. That kind of fixes that. This one should also not be a string. And this, I think, is a 404 error. User is not here. Okay. Now, remember, in that Pydantic model, okay, very quickly, I set these as optional. If I don't update this, then it's none. All right, so I need to check each of these. Am I trying to update the name? If no, I want to skip it. Okay, so down here, as we're going through our updates, that's kind of what we have to check for. The first thing is we are going to get the current user that we're trying to update. So users, user ID. Okay, if user.name is not none, this means I'm trying to update it. So I'm going to say current user, we're going to give it the name, is equal to user.name. Okay. If user dot, what did we have there? Website. Website is not none, then again, current user, we're going to say here website is equal to user.website. If user.age is not none. And we just go through, right? Each of these is just being checked. I could theoretically copy this. We're going to change this to age. We're going to change this to age. And our last one is going to be the role of the user. So we're going to say role. Cool. That's really it. Come down here. We are going to return the current user. Right, so this one took a bit more, right? But that's because maybe I don't want to update all of these, right? I'm preventing that. Let's go and check now to see if our endpoint works correctly. Let's refresh this. You can see my put was right there. Boom, put, right? So let's go down here. Let's try it out. Let's update number 2. So you can see it starts off as blank. So first off, let me cancel this. Let us get a user again. Let's try it out. Let's execute. And it says user not found. Why? Why is that happening? Okay, well, because we're not using a database or anything, every time I click this refresh page, it pretty much resets that Python dictionary. Okay, if we go back and we execute it, there I am. Okay, so I can't update number 2 because we don't actually have it anymore. So let's come back here, let's try it out. Let's say 1. This time we will say Josh. Let's change the website to my other website. Instead of 0 to knowing, we will say the nerdnook.io. The age of me, I'll still keep as 28. And for this, we'll just call it a writer. Let's execute. You can see that it's changed. Awesome. This time, when I go back to get number 1, we're going to try it out. We're going to execute number 1. It changes from 0 to knowing to the nerd nook, and my role is a writer. So our update is working. I'm not updating everything, just a few key components, right? Awesome. Guys, this brings us into, well, the last real one. We're going to search for a user still, okay? But we are going to focus on this one first. So let's come down here. All right, let's create our app. We are going to say delete users, as a string here, users slash, I should have started with that. This is our endpoint. We are going to take a user ID into this. All we're going to do here is we will say delete user. This is going to take our user ID, and this will become an integer. Again, I'm just going to go up here because it seems that each time we want to follow some good practices. If the user is not there, we are going to raise the exception 404 user is not here. Okay. Otherwise, we are going to pretty much delete this. So I'm going to say deleted user is equal to our dictionary. We are going to pop off what? Whoever has that user ID. Going to pop them off, and we are going to return, let's just return a JSON message, a dictionary message really. So I'm going to say message. We can say user has been deleted, and then we're going to say like deleted user is equal to our deleted user. That's it, right? This is allowing me now to delete a single user. If we go and refresh, we're going to try this. Now, let's do it like this actually. Let's create a user. So I'm going to say 2. Let's say code with Josh, website subscribe. We are going to say age 2 years old and role Python channel. Execute. Awesome. So we have that, right? If we go up, you can try it out. We're going to try it out. We are going to make sure that that API call worked. We do have it, right? Let's cancel this and let's go down now to delete. We are going to try it out to execute. And you can see right there, user has been deleted. This is the deleted user. Awesome. I deleted it. It's not there anymore, right? We go back up to try and get the user if we want to try it out to execute. User is not found. We're not there anymore. Okay, you can't delete it. Awesome. Well done. I hope you guys are getting value from this video. I hope you're understanding. All right. This pretty much brings it to the last point. We have everything kind of here. You can create a user, update a user. Let's now just search for a user. So, all right. If I have this URL and we have this endpoint, right? Really, a URL might have something like users ? Josh, right? And so anything after this question mark is kind of the query that we are making to the database or to the API to see if we have it. Okay, so it's followed by a question mark. This is a query that we're making. So I'll actually just leave Josh there, right? I'm going to say @ app. we want to get, let's say users, we are making that endpoint here. We are going to say search. Okay. Now, who am I searching for? So let's just say search by name. Okay. Inside here, name, if I'm searching, it's optional, but we need the name. So I'm going to say optional name. Otherwise, it's none. And if not name, we are going to raise our HTTP exception. Where is it? Actually, let's return something. Let's say return message. Let's say name parameter is required. Right, so if I do give it none, which you shouldn't, I'm just putting this here as a safety net, then I'm going to raise, hey, you have to actually give it a name in order for this to work. Okay. Otherwise, we want to loop through all the matches. Now, in the real world, we might loop through a database. Here, we're just looping through our dictionary. So for every user in users.values, okay, this is going to create a list of all the values in our Python dictionary. The keys are like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But the values are like an inner dictionary. So I'm going to loop through all of those. And we're going to say if user name is equal to the name I'm looking for, let's return the user. If no one was found, I guess now would be the point where I can raise my exception. And we are going to go here status code is equal to 404. And we can give it some detail. We can just say user not found. That's it. That is done. This is our basic setup for a fast API, guys. Let me go back. In this portion of the video, I'm going to go through each of these, okay? And I'm going to test them and run them. You can see all of these endpoints that I built out here. Root is just the initial root that we have. This is like the landing page on a website. Let's start off by creating a user. Okay, so I'm going to try it out. We're going to say 2. Again, let's just go through here. Let's say the nerd nook. We are going to say the nerd nook.io. This is 2 years old. This is a Python newsletter. Okay, I'm going to execute that. I can see that it executed accordingly. All right, if I want to go back, I want to create 3. We are going to say code with Josh for YouTube. The website, I don't know the exact URL, so we're just going to say subscribe to, and we are going to say Python channel. Execute. Again, I have executed it. Okay, awesome. So I know that our endpoint works for this. When we want to get a user, we can try it out. This time we have 3. We're going to execute that. Boom. I am working on that endpoint. Okay. Let's update a user. So let's try it out. Let's update number 2. Now it doesn't give us the starting values. This was the nerd nook, right? So if I say the nerd nook, the website, let's say blank. Age, let's say 10. And role, we're just going to say newsletter. Execute. We're going to go up here. I'm going to get the user, number 2, and we're going to make sure that that update went through. And you can see, boom, the update did go through, right? At this point, I kind of messed up number 2, so maybe I want to delete them. Execute. We are able to delete them. That's great. And the newest one that we just did was to search by name. So let's try it out. What name are we looking for here? Josh. Execute. It says user not found. Why does it say that? Well, everything is uppercase or lowercase. I didn't really implement anything for that, which I guess we could have, right? If I say Josh, there we go. It's now returning the correct information for that endpoint. Guys, you can see how easy it is to get FastAPI up and going, especially here in this mini course. I'm hoping I broke that down all in what? Under 45 minutes, we covered kind of A to Z on how you can get started with this, right? There are other, implementations you could do, like security precautions, things like that. Okay, this was just a basic introduction. If you wanted to take this up a level, you could add more fields to the user model, create relationships between users, add in a real database, right? Implementing some security features. If that's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments, okay? I'm happy to build out more content around this to really help us grow and understand this more. But all in all, this was your introduction to FastAPI.
And there you guys have it, your introduction to FastAPI. Together, you got an overview on how everything works, how to get it set up on your system. You learned about endpoints and how to build out your own endpoints, which allow us to send and get information, update information dynamically. Now, we didn't use a database, but you got an introduction using a dictionary, which can act like JSON. Okay, if you got value in today's video, help me out, help out the channel. Hit the like button and subscribe. That really does help out my channel. Drop any comments you have, any questions. I read all of those, okay? And if you guys enjoyed this kind of content, let me know what you want to see surrounding FastAPI in the future, or questions you have that I can help answer. Okay, drop those in the comments. Remember guys, the first link in the description, that is my Python masterclass. Head on down there, check it out. That's designed for you or someone you know who's looking to break into Python and actually have a structured learning roadmap, okay? All the other links down there from our Discord community, my weekly Python newsletter, and all my ebooks. They're designed, I create those to help you grow. Come on down, join on the fun, drop some questions, and I will see you guys there. That's all for this week's episode of Code with Josh. Until next time, Python crew, I will see you then.